South Park is back again. They're continuing this season, which has been filled with hilarious moments, especially with Donald Trump and his relationship with Satan. It's incredible. This week, they're back with an episode where JD Vance and Donald Trump are now in bed together. They're in the Lincoln bedroom. You have to see it. Let's play a clip. Oh my God. Wow.
Hard to know what to say about that. That's a whole new level for South Park.
Wow. That is creative freedom if I've ever seen it. Holy moly.
That is unlimited. That is what like unlimited creative freedom looks like.
Wow.
David Ellison at Paramount must be watching this and just getting immense heartburn because he obviously wanted to give them creative freedom, but I don't know if he ever envisioned this.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, look, it's I'm like speechless. It is hilarious. It's where this like whole storyline was inevitably going all season long. But I do think that, as you bring up with David Ellison, I think that this brings up a really good point, which is South Park and Comedy Central, they're part of Paramount. They're now under, let's say, more conservative ownership with David Ellison and his father, Larry, who's good friend, close with Donald Trump. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creative brilliance behind this show, they were interviewed recently in the New York Times, and they talked about how they were able to sort of get away with this, especially since there's so many questions over whether or not Paramount under Ellison is gonna, let's say, be a little softer on Trump, a little easier. And we're watching the two of them now in bed. I mean, they're having sex with each other, okay? Like,
I know when they started the season, I thought it seemed like they were touching the third rail almost when they were talking about Trump's penis size.
Yeah.
And now that almost looks tame compared to what we just saw. If for people who are listening, it's a graphic depiction of JD Vance and Donald Trump making love in bed in the Lincoln bedroom at the White House. With Lincoln looking on, from his portrait at the whole scene.
Yeah. Lincoln has quite a view there.
But this is what they said. They said they want to do, and I think this gets to the heart of who Trey
Parker and Matt Stone.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who they are. They talk about this in the New York Times, how when they sense there's a taboo out there, when they sense there's a third rail, that just makes them want to touch it more. And knowing that Donald Trump is deemed off limits because of his, henchmen in the government over at the FCC threatening people for not being nice enough to Donald Trump, knowing that context, having that context, now all they want to do is push the envelope further and further and further. And they openly said this to the New York Times last week.
Exactly. And I think the thing that was interesting about this interview is they say, look, it's not that we got political. People are viewing it that way. It's that politics became pop culture. That's what Trey Parker said. And I think there's something there to that, right? Like this is the sort of thing that everybody is talking about. Donald Trump and JD Vance in the White House. And now obviously they are taking it to a whole other level.
I don't know if anyone is quite talking about this, John.
They want to crush taboos, right? And so they say we're attracted to that like flies on honey. And so if there's taboo, we want to go there. But I will say, I do think, to David Ellison's credit, between this, allowing this to go out, and re-signing Jon Stewart to the The Daily Show for another year.
Jon Stewart at the Daily Wire. That would be bit of a slip there. That would be very interesting too.
I do think that to his credit, he is allowing the comedy and the needling of Donald Trump to still flow on Comedy Central. And maybe that's because you can sort of, put that into the shoebox of, well, it's a comedy channel. That's what these guys do.
Or it's a channel. It's also a channel that Donald Trump does not watch, right? If this were happening on broadcast television, I think it'd be a totally different story. If Jon Stewart were on CBS late night, I think Donald Trump would be very triggered by that. If South Park were airing on CBS, if this aired on CBS, can you imagine what Donald Trump would do? I'm not really sure Donald Trump knows how to find Comedy Central on the dial. It's just not part of his routine. And so I think they can get away with a lot more there than they would if this was on a regular channel that Donald Trump frequented. Thank you for watching Power Lines. For more analysis and insight, subscribe to our YouTube channel down below, like this video, and you can watch more of us right over here.